I hope we didn't lose anybody. Oh no, we lost Emma when we were talking about the Whitewater Rapids. So what are your questions for me? And I'll be love to have them. Yes, Jessica.
Do we know when this class is going to be running yet by any chance?
So the hope is that it will be running in May 2021. But just so that we don't run into a problem, the way it's going to work is you won't have to completely pay for the class until after March. I think it's March 15th. So technically, your deposits are due now, and the deposit is $250, and it's sort of a first come, first serve. And you would also want to make sure that you're registering for it when we all begin registration in November. And so if for some reason we get to March 15th and it becomes clear that because of COVID, we can't run the trip this year, your $250 will be refunded, right? And then we'll definitely go next in 2022. I'm determined to get there. And because I've made the effort to plan this trip, we're going. If we don't go in 2021, we will go in 2022. The other thing is, if you're a senior right now, you can still take the class. Even though you will have graduated May 13th or whatever date it is, you can still take this class and add it on. This is an upper division class. So the way, I think I have a fire drill. Oh no. The way it works is I made it an upper division class so that it would help people out. So it's technically CRW 395. And if you have a problem where you have too many CRW classes or too many ENG classes, we can also turn this into a GST prefix, which I had to do that last year for somebody. So keep that in mind in case you've already like tapped out on the 54 credits in the major. Yeah, and so right now, I would say if you're serious about doing it, I would say you put your deposit down and you secured your spot. I plan on only taking 15 students because I haven't been to Alaska in about 20 years. I don't want to take 20 like I did overseas. And because we have a lot of moving parts to this trip. I don't want to lose anybody on the train and you can see how we've got to keep up. So I'm only going to take 15 people and we'll see. And so that's really my best advice. If you're interested, sign up now. We get to March, we'll know a lot more. Yes, Emily.
How do we put down a deposit, and when should we do that?
You know, Megan, can you speak to this? Can you put something in the chat bar where they want to go?
Sure. So I'm going to include in the chat a link to the application. So you can see that you'll have to apply on our website before paying the deposit. You can pay the deposit right online with a credit card. If you'd like to mail in, we do take money orders and certified bank checks. You could mail that into our office if you don't have a credit card. And if all else fails, if you're on campus, you can always stop by our office. We are open Monday through Friday, and you can bring cash with you. So you have until March 15th is the deadline, but for one of Professor Giglio's programs, I recommend doing it as soon as possible because like she said, they do fill up. So you'd want to take care of that. And just to also speak on cancellations, if we do have to cancel the travel, you will get that deposit back. It says non-refundable on the program application. Typically they are, but due to the situation right now, we are offering those refunds to students.
Mm-hmm. Which is great. So, and usually you don't have that luxury. So that's actually really nice. Okay, there's the link. Yes, and that's something worth copying. In terms of the material that we're going to be reading, I have two really interesting texts. One is about a native Alaskan who actually went to the Arctic Circle and survived, and it's her true story, and that's really interesting. And then another one focuses on different native storytelling, and one thing that they focus on are the part that I like are lessons learned. Obviously, they focus on nature a lot and animals, but a lot of their stories are to tell a lesson, and I think that's really powerful. I will say the academic portion will be done once we leave campus. So It's not like once you're in Alaska, you have to write a term paper or do anything. That the main thing in Alaska, I like to get everyone to keep a journal, and that is part of your grade, but it's more so that when you come home, you have this, not just, you have a great memory, and it's something you can look back on, because it's something I always do whenever I travel. When I went to India, whenever I go to Norway, Iceland, I always keep a journal and just write down what I did each day. It's really fun to look back later. And I would say this is a great time in your life to travel, because you're not worrying yet about a job. You're not worrying, I hope you're not worrying about a mortgage and children and things like that. This is really an idyllic time to go. And when I was your age, I traveled a lot. And then I got married and had kids. And then I didn't travel for about 20 years. But yeah, and other questions. Do we have some other questions? Jordan, do you have any questions about it?
I have a question.
Oh, yes. Heaven.
Can resident assistants study abroad or no?
Oh, can an RA go abroad? Yes, because the travel takes place after the semester is finished.
Okay.
Yes. And I've had a lot of RAs over the years come with me. So that actually works out pretty well. That's not a problem at all. And yeah, I was going to say, you wouldn't have if you're an RA, you don't have a problem with doing a Saturday class, right? Okay. Yeah, that would be the only thing. And usually I choose 4 Saturdays. So we're not meeting every Saturday, but we tend to meet for, say, 2 hours at a time. And generally, you're not writing a paper. We tend to do a lot of PowerPoint presentations so that we can sort of teach each other certain aspects of the curriculum. And that's turned out to be a lot of fun.
Oh, I have another question.
Oh, sure, Heaven.
Is there going to be like, so for the, not for the deposit, but for like the remaining costs, are there any like payment options for like increments, or is it just like you just pay the whole thing?
You know, normally I believe there are, but how is that going to work this year, Megan? Will we have, can you make a payment schedule?
Yeah, so Heather, what I would do is just email me. I'll put my email in the chat and we can work out a plan. We do offer payment plans to students. We don't typically advertise that, but you know, we can work with students and meet them where they're at. So I'm gonna pop my email in here, just send me an email, and if you're interested, we can work something out.
And you can also work with financial aid as well. That's another thing. And could you, Megan, could you put a link to where they can learn more about all the different scholarship opportunities? I know typically there's one called the Get-Go, but I don't think Get-Go will apply to this, will it? Because it's not out of the country, is that right?
So the scholarship process is a little bit different than it used to be. So as part of the program application, there's a scholarship application. So you would fill that out. It's a generic scholarship application. And what we do is we review all of those scholarship applications and we award scholarships based on that one generic application. So you're not applying for specific scholarships. It's just a very generic one. This is one of our first domestic programs that we're attempting to run. So as far as are we going to allow the Get-Go to be awarded for this program, that's to be determined, hopefully, but I'm not sure if it meets the criteria for the Get-Go scholarship, to answer your question, Juliet. But the scholarship link is in the chat, so check that out. Those are just the different scholarships we have. There's also a link there to outside scholarship opportunities outside of SUNY Oswego, so you can check it out. And then if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me or Professor Giglio, and we will help you, as best we can.
Mm-hmm. There's definitely a way. I've had so many students travel with me over the last 4 years, and they always find different ways of finding money. Like I said, there's money out there. And I think this year, because there aren't any programs abroad, I would hope that the Get-Go could apply to it. They could make an exception this year, because that's a pretty easy way to get want to say, is it $250 or $500?
Yeah, it's 250 to 500 typically.
Right. And it all adds up. All these monies add up. And I also think it's good to know about this trip now because it's October, but you could start saving for this trip now. Other questions? And you know, Lizette, I think you were going to Norway with me, weren't you? I recognize your name, Lizette.
I I work in the office with Megan, so that's where you know me from.
Oh, okay.
I work in international education.
Okay, great, great. I know, I'm looking at your name thinking it's so familiar.
Yes, I really wanted to attend this present.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Sarah?
Yeah, I wanted to attend this presentation because I'm very interested in Native people.
Mhm. Yeah, I am too. I definitely am too. Emma, we lost you to the fire alarm, right? I thought we lost, I was worried that you left when I was talking about the whitewater trip.